The opinions expressed in the Brothers on Law show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for personal professional legal advice.
Thanks for tuning in to Brothers on Law on Go Country 105. I'm Larry Mandel.
And I'm Rob Mandel.
And we've been trial attorneys here in Los Angeles for over 40 years.
On our show, we will discuss current events, talk about legal issues, and have some very entertaining guests stop by. So stay tuned every week for Brothers on Law right here on Go Country 105. Hi, everyone. I'm Rob Mandel.
And I'm Larry Mandel.
And we are the Brothers on Law. And thank you so much for tuning in here on Go Country 105. And thank you to Debbie, the mortgage mom, for being there for us as well. Hey, Larry, you know, as time passes and we start to get older, we kind of are facing what our own folks went through. And it's kind of a scary thing. I understand you're kind of going through a little something right now, right?
Yeah, well, we went through it with our mom, and she was ultimately in hospice. And it was a really, gut-wrenching experience. And now with my father-in-law, he was originally on palliative care, which is more like a controlling the situation. And now he's gone to the hospice care where it's, there's not much to do except for keep the person very comfortable because they're not going to be with us for a long time.
And, it's so gut-wrenching, like you say, and tough to deal with because you got your own life that you're dealing with, and now all of a sudden you're dealing with someone who's very ill, who needs a lot of attention, who needs that care. And you want to be that person to fight for them and stick up for them and make sure that whatever they're going through is handled properly. But you may not have the time, you may not have the skills. And,
that's right.
So I think everyone needs help with that.
Yeah, you have to turn to somebody that's an expert in the area
right.
to get that kind of advice.
And that's why we're very lucky to have with us in our studio today Barbara Wogh, who owns KeepingYourParentsSafe.com. And you're a registered nurse and senior advocate. Is that right, Barbara?
That's correct.
All right. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Barbara.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
And so tell us about that.
Maybe her background first.
Yeah.
What's your background?
What do you do?
Well, I grew up in Michigan. I went to Michigan State University and got a bachelor's of arts in communications. And then I worked in film production in Detroit, actually, for a period of time. And then I realized that I was meant to be a nurse all along since I was really little. I just got distracted with other things. And so I decided to go back to nursing school. And I decided that if I was going to spend another 4 or 5 years in school, that I'd rather be warm. So I moved to Arizona and went to Arizona State and got my Bachelor of Science in Nursing there.
And it's pretty warm there, too.
It's pretty warm there.
Yeah.
What a contrast to Michigan.
Yeah.
But that's such an honorable profession.
But tell us what, when I said, what do you do? What I meant was, what do you do as a senior advocate? What does a senior advocate do?
A senior advocate guides people through those times in their lives, like you're going through right now, that where a parent or a loved one gets sick, something happens, they fall, and it thrusts you into this entire system that you're not familiar with. So patient advocates guide people through that system, avoiding the gaps that are inherent in healthcare and the entire healthcare system, working with family members to just handle what's going on and dealing with each other.
Yeah, because people don't realize, I don't think, that world until you're, like you say, thrust into it.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you're like a a deer in the headlights.
Right.
Right.
What do we do? Do we place the person? Do we keep the person at home?
Right.
Do we bring in care at home? Do we put the person in an assisted living situation? And those are some of the...
Do we have the resources? Do we have the
money?
Insurance?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you kind of evaluate all that and then provide the guidance.
Yeah, and I'm like a general contractor or a wedding planner in that I handle all the details that you shouldn't have to worry about when you're trying to help your parents. And a lot of what I hear a lot is people think, well, my parents raised me, I should be able to do this, but it's completely different. And it just like when you do raise your kids, it takes a village. I mean, that's a very common expression. So it's the same thing when you're helping your parents or your loved ones as they age. You need to call on a lot of help.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the first step? Does somebody just contact you and tell you what the person fell, or how does it all develop?
I get calls from either home care agencies who have clients who are like their situation is spinning out of control and they're calling the home care agency for help. So they'll often refer to me. I get calls just from people that I don't even know who hear about me from other people or friends. So they call and they could be in one of three places. They're either on a clear path, they know, like they're thinking ahead and they have a good support system and they kind of have an idea of what they want to do. Or they're at a crossroads. Someone breaks a hip, somebody gets sick, they don't really know what to do, and I help them to be objective about that and decide what to do. Or they're in a dark cave without a map or a flashlight, have no idea where they're going, what's going on, and they're in so deep now that they have to dig out. So it's having the knowledge of working within that system and where to go first, second, third. And they're so emotional. It's such an emotional situation that you're going through. I mean, your father-in-law is forgetting who you are. My mom was forgetting who I was. She had Alzheimer's. And you've got things going on. Old stuff comes up from your brothers and sisters from when you were younger. So that clouds your judgment. It clouds how you see things.
People fight over that a lot.
Right, the whole family dynamics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, how you got into this because of a personal situation that happened to you? Is that right?
That's
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. My mom had. She actually, shortly after I got married, she married her high school sweetheart. She was 72.
No kidding.
Wow.
And I was her matron of honor in her wedding. So that was
sweet.
It was really fun and sweet. And then a few years into the marriage, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. No. And so now I was helping my stepdad manage her care from across the country because they were still in Michigan. I was in California.
Oh, my.
And my kids were really young at the time. So I'm flying back and forth. And it came time that she needed care in the home. So I interviewed multiple care agencies. I chose one. They assured me everything's going to be okay. We'll take good care of your mom. Well, they put a felon in my mom's home as her caregiver.
Ouch. And
they knew at the time, I found this out way later, but they knew that she had spent 5 days in jail on a misdemeanor, had a felony warrant out for her arrest for check fraud.
Oh, boy.
Had lied on her application, but yet they kept her in 24/7 care, which is unsupervised, largely.
Oh, that's crazy.
So what happened was, in the end, I figured it out within a few months from a couple thousand miles away. And I moved my mom into a care facility where she actually thrived till the end of her life. She did really well. Unfortunately, my stepdad had his own adult children, so all I could do was advise, and they weren't really listening to me. So the so-called caregiver, she remained in the picture for 6 years.
No.
The same one that you mentioned?
Yes.
And they knew that she had a felony past and check fraud and all that kind of thing when they were keeping her there?
Yes, but the home care agency, see, what the caregiver did is she stayed long enough to get placed in a home, and then she quit within a couple of months. She
Okay.
quit the agency. And then my stepdad wanted to hire her privately, which goes against everything. I mean, it's in the contract when you sign for home care. And they wanted to bill him. They found out about it and billed him $10,000 for the breach. I got him out of it, just on a technicality, but
Good for you. A little legal
I'm
maneuvering.
a lawyer.
Nice.
Yeah.
But did your stepdad know that she had this kind of shady past?
He wouldn't believe it. She was grooming him just like a pedophile would groom a child.
I see.
And like isolating him, telling him, you know, I'm the only one, because he was isolated. Everybody was out of town. And she's like, I'm the one that's here for you. I'm the one who's taking care of you. So he became very attached to her. And I don't know what else was going on, but,
Oh
you know.
my gosh.
You know, they were having liquor delivered to the home. He was giving her his credit card, his Cadillac, his checkbook.
Oh, this is a mess.
Well,
yeah,
this is,
I mean, I could-
just like you were saying, I mean, this is a clear example of elder abuse.
Right.
And you know, this is how the vulnerable seniors do get taken advantage of. I think we had Cam and Meredith on the show talking about their dad.
Yeah, on the dating scene.
Yeah, on the dating scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is very similar, where she's established this trust relationship,
Right.
maybe using her younger sexuality or whatever to get the stepdad, you know, where she wants him to be. And then she's fleecing them in the process, I take it.
Right. Oh, I mean, I could talk for hours about it, but with all the stories. But in the end, after my mom died, she tricked him into marrying her,
Oh.
No.
got her name on the house and the will, and then took out a life insurance policy on him. And he was 86. And
How old was she?
She was 35.
Oh, boy.
Oh, what a...
But no one
Career
had, you know,
criminal.
Yeah, no one had an issue with this. You know, the local
Well,
police.
you did.
Well,
You
I
had an
did.
issue,
Yeah,
for sure.
and his daughters did. But the local police, you know, the lawyer that changed the will. I mean, what was he thinking?
Jeez.
And when they were at the lawyer's office changing the will, she somehow rigged the mattress in the master bedroom to catch on fire. And then she bilked the insurance company out of $16,000 and redid the house with the money.
Wow.
So
Professional criminal.
She's a
she
real,
ripped off
piece of work.
everyone she came in contact with.
Yeah.
And her and her mom. Her mom taught her everything she knew.
And when you're not that kind of person, it's very hard to even fathom
Oh, yeah, you
that
can't.
kind of person.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you trust people.
Can't
Yeah.
wrap your head around it.
It's very hard to wrap.
I mean,
your
the
head
whole time we would just, my siblings and I would look at each other and go, did you ever think in a million years that there's no way you can predict that kind of thing
around.
happening?
Yeah. So how did that lead to you doing what you do now then?
Well, I couldn't really stop her. I mean, we did our best. We went to court. We sued the home care agency. It didn't work out. We had a good case, but it didn't work out. That's a whole nother story. But
You needed the
Right.
brothers on law back
right,
then.
There
I
you
truly
go.
did. I did. So I figured I couldn't really stop her, but I can certainly help other people from having this type of thing happen to them. I can, now that because I look back now, because I didn't have the objectivity because of all that emotion that we already talked about. But now I look back and I can see every little red flag that at the time, you know, that little voice inside me was like screaming at me, this is so weird. Why is she saying these things? What is going on?
Yeah.
But I had to get back home to my kids. They were little. I just needed someone to take care of my mom.
Oh.
And then, but I look back now and I go, oh, yeah, okay. So now I can totally see it. So I can be that objective voice for my clients because I can see the whole picture. They can't right now.
We're Larry and Rob Mandel, the brothers-in-law, here on Go Country 105. Do you have a legal issue you need help with? We want to hear from you.
Find us on Instagram and send us a message. Then tune in on Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on Go Country 105. Hey, if you missed any part of this show or you just want to hear it again, go to brothersonlaw.com for all of our previous shows and all things Brothers on Law. So part of what you're coordinating for them, I imagine, on occasion, is lawyers too.
Yeah.
You got to, hey, man, it's time to bring in someone to protect your mom or your dad legally.
Absolutely.
As opposed, in addition to the health issues or housing issues or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely part of the network.
But you're screening the people that you recommend in a much different way than this home care.
Oh, yeah. And I tend to use smaller agencies than the one I used because I know then you're not a number. And I know the owners, I know the people who are doing the scheduling, and I keep in close contact with them. So anytime I see something going on, like I had a caregiver one time, she told the tiniest little lie about something completely insignificant. But I was like, no, because that's not the first one, right? It's just the one I happen
to catch. It's like stealing the change off the counter. It's like, it's just change, but
it's not the first one.
So I move them right. All I have to do then is call the owner and go, we need to make a switch immediately.
So, Barbara, do you place the person, the patient, in particular homes, like private homes? Like my father-in-law is in a private home right now where there's maybe 4 or 5 patients. Do you do that too?
I will help my families determine whether that's appropriate. And then if I know of a place that I like and I trust, I'll have them go look at it. Otherwise, I will refer out to placement specialists because that's a whole nother job where you know all the facilities, you know the owners, and that's actually a free service because they get paid by the facilities where they ultimately place a client.
I see.
So they're experts at that. So I more help out with making sure everybody has the right information and education on which to base their decisions, but I don't make decisions for them.
How do they pay for this? And is it affordable for most families?
Yeah, is it covered under Medicare?
Yeah, no, doesn't. Unfortunately, not covered under Medicare. It is private pay.
Okay.
But every advocate will tell you that they want to remain independent because then we're not beholden to any insurance company. Nobody's telling us, dictating what we do. It's all up to our client.
But probably every dime of it is money well spent, right?
You ultimately save money by cutting those corners and anticipating problems and stopping them from happening. And since I'm a nurse, I can also address clinical issues or medical issues that are often the center of the chaos. And once you get rid of those, then the regular chaos is easier to manage.
Do you see the patient? Do you interview the patient?
Yeah, we meet. I'll oftentimes just have a consultation to see if we're a match. I meet with the family. I'll do an assessment, and that includes what the elder person wants. I mean, I will directly ask them whether they have cognitive issues or not, what it is, how they want to live the rest of their lives.
I see.
Because that's important to consider.
How does someone become your client? In other words, what puts them in the category that they would require your service? Is it just being sick? Is it just being old? What are the criteria?
I specialize in helping people with their parents or their older loved ones, since that's what I went through, and I can most relate to that.
Right.
But I can help people with, like I said, with the medical issues that crop up.
We wouldn't necessarily want to wait to bring you into the equation and to, like my brother's father-in-law, that's very far down the line at this point. Right. You'd want you to be involved before he's already,
well, I think if you saw signs, like in our case, Alzheimer's, and you saw signs of forgetfulness, and like in our case, it was him falling down and things like that, that would be a perfect time to call you, right?
Yeah, and the sooner the better. And like I said, some people are really on top of it, and they'll call me way before to make a plan. It does happen. But most of the time I get calls when there's been a fall or they've ended up in a nursing home and they don't like how they're being treated there. Or all of a sudden they have a bed sore, and what are they supposed to do? And what are the rules? And and it depends on the mindset of the person. A lot of times some people just they're just going to grin and bear it and do whatever they can to fix it themselves.
Yeah.
But there's so much. There's so much to do.
And it's a problem, I think. I guess I have the impression, maybe this is not true, but that aging in America is a tougher thing than in other Western countries, you know, where there's a little bit more of an infrastructure to care for people that are ill and old and maybe on their way out, you know. Do you think that's true?
Partly because I think we're so spread out in this country, and people don't stay together.
Yeah.
You know, and so you know, people are flying across the country to kind of piecemeal things together. So a lot of times my clients are out of the state, but their parent is here in California, and I'll help them that way. And the thing that I think people really don't understand is that this year, 2020, there are more people over the age of 65 than there are under the age of 5.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And all the baby boomers now are getting older.
Right.
And it's going to be just this huge
influx. Yeah.
Yeah. And no one is really ready for that. And so, like, the more prepared, the better. But it hits a lot of people by surprise.
And that's how we get more prepared, by calling you, right?
Right,
And how do we get in touch with you?
Well, my website is keepingyourparentssafe.com, and parents is plural because you have 2. And my phone number, all my social media links are on there.
Okay.
Keepingyourparentssafe.com.
That's right.
Have you suffered or been injured by someone else's negligence? When you need a legal team that will stand up for what is right, won't give up the fight and obtain justice, call 818-886-6600. Mandel Trial Lawyers specializes in personal injury cases of all types. Whether it's a car accident, product or premises liability, dog bite, or a catastrophic injury, Mandel Trial Lawyers are there for you when the fight is worth it. Call now for your free consultation. 818-886-6600. Let the scales of justice tip in your favor.
Barbara Wogh. Well, I tell you what, this is so important. And again, we could be talking about this all day long.
Yep.
Yeah, hours and hours. And
right.
really people need classes in this, you know, because it just kind of hits you. It's like a left hook, you know, kind of a sucker punch.
That's
really.
what happened to us.
Yeah.
Obviously.
You know.
Yeah. So we're going to switch gears, Rob, and our producer Cam gave us a fun fact of the day.
All right.
Let's see what it is today. It's children grow faster in the spring. Did you know that?
That's very fun to know that. Children grow
So
faster
watch your kids in the spring. They're going to
watch them grow.
Wow.
And don't
it's
buy
like
too
a
many
flower.
new clothes at Christmas.
I was going to say, it's just like exactly. Yeah. But just like the flowers, right?
Yeah.
I guess maybe you water the kids a little bit in
sunlight.
in the early spring, and they'll grow even more. All right, how about this? We're going to play a little game called True or False. And it's usually a crazy law that Cam finds that may or may not be true. Okay, Barbara? Mm-hmm. Here it is. The entire Encyclopedia Britannica is banned in Texas because it contains a formula for making beer at home.
I want
or
to say
false?
true. Just
I
'cause
want to
it's
say
crazy.
true.
Of course, I'm going to say
Yay!
true. Yeah,
Ding,
it's
ding,
true.
ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
Now, again, Texas, come on. First Amendment. Boy, oh boy. You cannot be banning books.
I don't know.
No.
Beer? Making beer?
No.
So
I can tell you right now.
They can go on the internet and get it.
I'm
What the
going to
heck?
load up a truck with Encyclopedia Britannica and take it to Texas. Of course, you can find that. Yeah, you can find it on the internet.
Yeah, what's the deal?
That's like an illegal
That's
law.
an old law.
That's
Yeah.
an interesting fun fact. Laws can be illegal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Laws can be illegal.
Yeah.
Unconstitutional. Well, that one is. All right, Larry, tell us about a case that's been on your mind, all right? Litigation, Larry, it's time.
We had a case recently, and now it's resolved, where our clients were stopped, and the other side said that our clients made an unsafe turn and pulled out in front of them, and therefore they were at fault. And the only way to beat that was, fortunately, a witness had stopped by and just gave his name and then drove off. So we tracked down the witness finally. It wasn't easy. And the witness says, no, that's not how it happened. your client was legally stopped, and the car behind it crashed into him. It was a bunch of kids, and they had been drinking the night before, and so they were still hungover. So as it developed more and more, the case became one of, no, it's the other person's fault.
Right.
And then our client had a form of cancer, and so he had hurt his shoulder in this accident, and they were arguing, well, it wasn't a hard enough impact to hurt the shoulder, but he was, predisposed because he had some problems in the past, but more importantly, it was he couldn't do anything about his shoulder because he had the cancer. He couldn't have the surgery. But
that's rough.
We still resolved the case based upon the fact that he would need shoulder surgery, but he couldn't have it because of his cancer. So,
that's a tough position to be in, huh?
I know. And so everybody's a little different. We take our plaintiff as we find them, so to speak. And some people are more susceptible to injury. We call them an eggshell plaintiff. And so we champion the rights of those people just as well as somebody who's in perfect health.
But I liked the fact that you did some detective work and found that the defendant's story or the other driver's story was complete nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but, I'm reminded, about some other case. I hope I'm not talking out of turn.
Is this the Rob report?
Yeah.
I don't think we have time, though.
Rob report.
Rob, I don't think we have time, though.
We don't. Yeah, we have a quick.
All right,
moment.
go for it.
It just goes to what Barbara does. I had a case where they didn't like the fact that this elderly guy in their home was always vocal and always complaining, and so they started drugging the guy.
Yeah.
And when the
happens a lot.
Yeah. So we did sue and got him a lot of money in his old age for that, because it was just such a horrible, wrong thing to do. Talk about elder abuse. Yeah. But anyway.
So do we have time for a message? Mandel message box?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey guys, it's Dana from Studio City. I have a legal case pending, and I know I'm going to be called in for a deposition. I've never done this before. What can I expect, and do you have any tips for me? I'm nervous.
Well, Dana, here's our advice to you for a deposition. If you can get counsel for a deposition, it's always a good thing. Now, it looks like if he has a legal case pending, then he should have an attorney.
Oh, yeah. And the attorney,
you bring that lawyer to your deposition, of course.
Protect you, and the lawyer should be spending a lot of time preparing the person for it and explaining what a deposition is all about, and not to offer information that's beyond the scope of the question. Yeah.
How to conduct yourself at a deposition. And of course, it's natural to be nervous. Quite natural. Don't worry about being nervous, but tell the truth.
Right on.
Be earnest, and don't go rambling, like Larry says. But the main thing is bring your lawyer, and make that lawyer make sure that you are prepared. Right. Make that lawyer prepare you.
Right.
Because it is important. It is a little different than just talking to someone. You're under oath. It's a more formal proceeding. You ever gone through one of those, Barbara?
Yep.
Yeah.
For our court case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the testimony can be used against you later, so because you're placed under oath to tell the truth. That's why you got to be prepared, as you said, Rob.
Radio. All right, so it's about time to wrap it up and say our goodbyes till next Saturday. And Barbara at Wogh, we want to thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
It's been our pleasure.
Right.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, our listeners, if you've missed any part of this show or would like to hear our previous shows, go to YouTube, brothersonlaw.com, or you just listen to us on iTunes and Podbean. And we want to thank you for listening. And if you have a legal question or something you want to discuss with us, we'd love to hear from you. Just message us on Instagram or Facebook or Brothers on Law.
If you have a legal matter that you need representation for, call us for a free consultation at 1-800-310-7113. That's 1-800-310-7113, and tell us that you've heard us on Go Country 105. We look forward to being here next week on Saturday at 8 a.m. on Go Country 105. And remember,
let the scales of justice tip in your favor.
Brother
The opinions expressed in the Brothers-in-Law show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for personal professional legal advice.